We are live.
Yes, we are. Veronica, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Um, we have Zachary and Kathy, Calvin.
Hi.
Thank you. Neurospicy. Um,
Henriette.
oh, yes, Jack. So, should we wait a few more minutes?
I think we get started. People can casually come.
Okay, sounds good. Um, Veronica, thank you so much for being here today. And we're talking about a very, very important topic, talking about entrepreneurs and uh, and the challenges they face. And the main thing is for us as entrepreneurs to get clarity around our business, right?
Absolutely. So we chose this topic because we were discussing what is one of the biggest challenges that solopreneurs face. And we often think about technology and all these things, but really the one true thing that can help you unlock your mindset and your business is having clarity. So often we are writing to everyone. We don't really have clear direction with strategy. So we really wanted to focus on clarity and how to find your clarity as a solopreneur.
Well, I can tell you, Veronica, that is a very challenging feat in itself because um, in April, I decided to take the early retirement. Okay. So I'm leaving the federal government after 39 years. And I'm like a fish out of water trying to figure out who am I? Okay. Much less who I serve. Okay. So we have to really come to terms with who we are. What are our values? What do we want in our life and our business? What's your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. So, who you are, it's really about your values. And it might sound a little bit abstract, but I think it's important to bring it down to earth. What do we mean by values? And I like if you're in the audience, you can write this down. Like, what are some values? What are some things that matter to you? I actually have my little list here. One of the most important values for me is freedom. Freedom of time, freedom of money. I'm a mom, so freedom to have time with my family is another one of my big values. Community. Even though I'm a solopreneur, the word is misleading. No one does anything solo. If we're solo, we just stay where we are. That's why I'm here today with Margaret. So, community is another big one for me. Personal development, being multi passionate. I'm not a niche person. Some people think that I'm the Substack girl. I'm not. I've written 4 books. I do public speaking. I do coaching. I do cohorts. Margaret was actually one of my students. So, being multi passionate and not locking myself, suffocate outside a box. That's one of my values. Discipline. I'm not the person who's going to tell you, hey, work 2 hours a day and you'll have a 6 figure business. No, I work my ass off and I'm happy and proud to say that because I love what I do and it doesn't feel like work. So everyone is going to have different values, right? And the first thing is being clear on what your values are. And once you're clear on that, then you can make better decisions. In the case of Margaret, so you left your career 30 plus years. In my case, I used to be in the corporate world. One of the reasons why I left is because I felt that there was a misalignment between my values and what I was doing, especially when I became a mom. I Let's talk about my values. I didn't really have freedom anymore. If I wanted to see my girls' performance at school, I needed to get a day off. I might or might not get it. I wasn't really building a community, personal development to some extent. You're kind of waiting to the next promotion. And so very important to be aligned with your values. So I think that's a really important first step. So write down what matters to you and then try to build your solopreneur life around those things and not the other way around, because otherwise we end up leaving one rat race from the corporate world to at another rat race if you don't have freedom, if you don't have the things that matter to you. So number one step and tip to find clarity is be clear on your values and what matters to you.
Absolutely, because we know it's easy to burn out here, okay, when you're working for yourself. Because when you're working for an employer, you've worked 40 hours and that's it, okay, a week. But when you're an entrepreneur, you always have to be on. You can never be off, okay? So because you have an invested interest in this business, you being authentic, people seeing you a certain way, and then if you're off and people will detect this and they will wonder what's going on, right? Because
Absolutely.
we have developed these relationships.
Absolutely. And to take this a little bit farther, once you have your values, if they just stay there, it's like, oh, these are my values and I'm clear about them, but you don't do anything with them, it's not going to take you very far. And so now it's from this high level, right? Like we're now trying to land the plane. What do we do with these values? And to me, that brings the conversation to purpose. And that one thing that I really struggle with when I started, and I don't know if people who are watching today can relate to this. There was this dogma of finding a niche, and you have to find this one niche. And I find it really hard because sure, you can be Substack girl, or you can be the SEO guy, you can be the whatever that might be. But not everybody wants to be inside that cage. For me, for example, as someone who loves change. I love change. I've lived in 9 different countries, 4 continents. I'm always doing different things. I found that that was something that was very limiting, the whole niche thing. But of course, it's also very important to be clear and about clarity on who you want to help. And that's really your purpose. And so if you're finding difficult to find a niche, I'm going to give you a suggestion that really worked for me. And is leave aside the niche thing. Sure, think about the things that you like to talk about, but check the perspective and the lenses and focus on the people that you want to help. And when I made this change from the what to the whom, it was a complete game changer because I was really able to visualize the person that I wanted to help because that person was me 2 years ago. The person who is trying to start a new business, the person who's feeling lost, the person who has a lot of creativity, but they don't really know how to strategize that creativity, how to package it, how to monetize. And so what happened? All of a sudden, I was very clear on whom I wanted to help. And that meant that I could talk about different things. Some of my clients I help with writing books, publishing books. Michael Lim, who is actually on Substack as well, he got a book deal working together with me. You can also help people grow their Substack because for me, growing a Substack is really growing your community. So it's something that I've done, something that I'm doing both in English and Spanish. And so I'm trying to help people who want to grow do the same thing. And so back to the point, if a niche doesn't work, and for some people it definitely works, but if you feel that, oh, it's really not for me, I'm really struggling, focus on the people that you want to help. So who are those people? Describe them. For me, it's solopreneurs, writers, creators really want to take their creativity to the next level, who really want to turn their hobby into a business, into a lifestyle. Very, very clear on who that is. And I'm also very clear on whom I'm not helping. I'm not helping any more corporate leaders who want to go up in the corporate ladder. I've done that, but that's not the people that I'm targeting right now. So be very clear on whom you want to help and who you don't want to help, because otherwise, being Mother Teresa, being everywhere, and you lose focus. So that's a little bit about me. And Margaret, you're also very clear now on who you want to help, and we've been working quite a bit together. So maybe this can help you go through the exercise again.
Well, yes. Um, the thing is, I started talking to women because working in a non-traditional field, okay, being in the underrepresented class, that's the people that I wanted to help. These are the most hardworking people in the world and don't get any recognition. They're ignored. They're passed up for promotions. And these underdogs, these are the people that I wanted to help because I went through the same journey. And I know what it takes to be successful, to overcome adversities. Okay. So it turned out not to necessarily be women. Men also gravitate towards my messaging because I'm a left brain person. That's why I worked in the government so well with systems and, developing people and developing genuine relationships. So I'm looking at the skills that I already have. How can I bring those skills and my gifts to to build this community? And I just now starting to figure that out because of all the other administrative things that came with running a publication. You have to put the structure in place first, and then that's how it worked for me. Okay. Now the bells are starting to click and things are starting to come into place.
Love that. There are a couple of things that you mentioned that I think are quite interesting. One of them is how very often you evolve. You started talking to women and women from underrepresented groups in particular, and that started to evolve. And now you talk to men as well. And that's the beauty of being a solopreneur, not static. And I really encourage people to have a growth mindset and explore different avenues. In my case, for example, I started talking much more about writing. I was a writer originally. My journey entrepreneur started writing. But what happened is afterwards, I started to have people who came to me and said, "Hey, would you coach me? I know that you publish a book, you self publish. Would you coach me how to self publish on Amazon? Would you coach me how to get published with Penguin, for example?" And it wasn't something that I had already planned because honestly, we're all figuring out what we're doing. Every day we're a little bit clear, but we're all on this journey towards clarity. It's a journey, right? It's not like you find clarity, it's here, I grab it. So we are developing it. And so I think it's important having this growth mindset that you explain very well on how you might start in one topic, in one community, and things might evolve. And I think that idea of changing, pivoting, growing is so critical to being a solopreneur. I tell you what, if I was still doing the same things that I was doing last year, I wouldn't be successful this year because what made you successful in the past is not what's going to make you successful today and definitely not what's going to make you successful in the future. So some examples of things that I've pivoted, things that I've launched. This year alone, I started doing live sessions. I think most of us did because I think it was only launched in 2025. So that's something new and it takes a lot of courage. Both Margaret and I were like, oh, we were so nervous before doing this. Will anyone show up? Well, 20 people have, 21. So that's a great thing. So taking risk, live sessions is one of them. Another one, for example, is launching Mastermind for my community. My founding members and one of them, and I see that there are a few who joined today, they told me, "Hey, Veronica, we like your community, but we're missing this sounding board. We're missing like this small group where we can brainstorm, we can collaborate, we can troubleshoot, we can find new partnerships." So again, it's something that I didn't have in 2024. I launched it in 2025, and now it's something that I do every quarter. So that's another initiative. One more in August, and again, Margaret is my number one promoter. She was one of the students of my first cohort, the Lemon Tree cohort, which again was something that I had never done before. So solopreneur is not static, it's something that is going to evolve and is something that is going to open new possibilities. And some of them will lead to something and some of them will not work. But I think being open to change and growth is really part of being a solopreneur.
I couldn't agree more. I have things that I'm working on right now, but I have a vision on where I want to be 5 years, 10 years down the road. And I am planting those seeds. I am manifesting these things to come.
Love that.
And that's the mindset we have to have, okay? In this world that we live in, because anything can happen at any given time. You can say, hey, you lost your job. Then what you going to do? You always have to have a plan B, maybe even a plan C. Okay.
Love it. One thing, if you are watching, you have questions, this session is about strategies for solopreneurs. We're very open to taking sessions, questions as we go. So feel free to put them in the chat and Margaret and I will get back to you. So to move a bit further, so we've talked about values. We've talked about turning those values into a purpose, having your value proposition of what really it is that you are going to impact, how you're going to help people. I think that part is so important. And one of the struggles that I see many solopreneurs have, and I did when I started, and I still have this blind spot, is that very often we focus so much on what we offer, what we give, the feature. This is my course and this is my cohort or whatever it is. And we forget to translate it in a way that really talks about benefits, that really talks about the transformation. Very often when people ask me for feedback about their product, I'm like, tell me in one sentence why I should get it. And it's one of the challenges that most people have. Tell me what your Substack is about in one sentence. Tell me what your course is about in one sentence. It's such a great filter. And I tell you this, I keep on working on these, some people call it elevator pitch or whatever it is, until I have it so nailed down that someone else who has just heard it once can repeat it. Let me give you an example. I recently launched a course for public speaking. It's actually on strategies for public speaking for creators and solopreneurs who want to grow, who want to monetize their work. And I was struggling. It's like, how can I position this? I was asking for feedback because if it's too long, if it's too complicated, one, people are not going to buy it. Two, they're definitely not going to remember what it was. And so try to find this value proposition, which is in one sentence, how is this going to help you? And I tell you very clearly, my course on public speaking is going to help you grow your community, get more views, and boost monetization with the power of public speaking. How? By incorporating live into your strategy, by doing more podcasts, by selling keynotes and workshops to corporates. That's my course. And if you cannot explain it simple enough, it's because you don't understand it simple enough.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I had to constantly change my strategy depending on the data that I'm seeing. Okay. I was writing, okay, I got tired and people probably felt that. And so my open rate was going down. I'm like, what's going on? So I started doing lives. Okay. Then my open rate started going up, you know, and because people are so busy, they don't have time to actually sit there and read the article per se. They can listen to your podcast on in the car. Okay, they can listen to it on the train or the bus. Okay, maybe on their lunch break. It's much more accessible, and then if you're already tired, you're not going to want to necessarily read something. I would prefer to watch it or to listen. This is just, based on the world we live in today. And every time I go out and do a live, people see me, they automatically will decide whether they want to follow me. Okay. And then while you're doing the live, then you have people even subscribing. And I'm like, okay, all right, I get it. So you have to listen, pay attention to the signs. I keep telling people, pay attention to the signs. You see what's working. Keep doing that. But sometimes you do too much and then you have to change course as well.
Mm, I think that that idea is super important of looking back and analyzing what's done and what works and what doesn't. I know that I'm guilty of always trying to do more and what is the next post and the next article and so on. But sometimes just looking back, think, what are the things that really resonate with people? What are the things that have the biggest impact? And really build on those. And very often is about repurposing what you already have. A lot of people, when I challenge them, why don't you publish a course or a digital product? They might tell you, but I know what to write about. And it's like, are you kidding me? You have a newsletter that you've been growing for a year. Go back, look at your 20 most popular articles. What do they have in common? Or is there a topic that always gets attraction? Perhaps it's talking about solopreneurs like we're doing today. Go back to your archive. You might have 10 posts that are talking about being a solopreneur, the mindset, the strategy, the challenges, and so on. There is your digital product. So I think this lateral thinking that you mentioned before and how to transfer skills, how to repurpose content is key. You also talked about going live, and I think this is a very interesting topic for solopreneurs. Live is one of these topics that is very creates a lot of debate, a lot of friction. A lot of people in my community tell me I hate lives, and a lot of other people tell me I love lives, and I'm like, look, it's about what your community loves. For me, it's like, of course, there are people who are not going to like lives, but there are a lot of people, as you said, who are busy. The format that they preferred is like a book. Do you prefer to read a paper book? I do. Some people prefer an ebook. My husband prefers the audio. Give people options. So I stopped asking myself, oh, do I love this or do I not love this? Of course, I want to do things that I like, but I also take into account what people in my community want, what they prefer. And that also helps you make a choice on what you can try and step out of your comfort zone.
I couldn't agree more because by doing the lives, actually, and also being on IG, on Facebook, okay, and LinkedIn, where I already have warm leads, that I have built up over the course of my career. Use that. Work smarter, not harder. Okay, connecting back to these places. I'm bringing people into Substack. Okay, I'm not waiting for nobody to give me anything or wait till it fall out the sky. I'm going to get mine. Okay, that's what you got to do.
Absolutely. One point that you just mentioned, I think is a nice side where you talk about all these different platforms, and a lot of people they do too much and they end up burned out and not necessarily having the results that they want. And I think it's important to go back to that clarity. A lot of people ask, "Monica, how many platforms are you? What do you do?" I used to be in different platforms. I used to be on Medium. I was on Twitter as well. It was a disaster. Then I was on Substack, LinkedIn. And at one point, and this is my strategy, everyone has a different strategy. I realized that I wanted to be more targeted and I wanted to be more focused. And this is what I did. Medium was not reliable for me. I quit. I had over 6,000 followers, over 600 articles, a lot. I said, no, not worth my time. X, it was not really for me, too toxic, not my style, goodbye. So now what I do is for my B2C. So when I'm talking to individuals, when I'm talking to solopreneurs, creators, creatives, I focus on Substack. When I'm talking to corporates, because I'm a public speaker. And so when I'm trying to target heads of HR, chiefs of people, chiefs of staff, learning and development teams, the people who have the money to hire me as a speaker, they're probably not going to be on Substack. They're going to be on LinkedIn. So if you look at my presence on LinkedIn, it's not completely different, but there you see Veronica speaker. Whereas if you go on Substack, you will see author, you will see coach, you will see strategist, writer, things that are really much more related to my strategy here. So my point is not that you can only be on one or two platforms, is that you have to be intentional. Why are you in a specific platform? What is it bringing to you? For me, Substack is really my platform for my community building. LinkedIn is for my business as a public speaker. Crystal clear.
Well, the reason I did that is because, like I said, I have worked with a lot of people over the course of my career, and they're on Facebook. I didn't do it before I retired for obvious reasons. I don't want to, mix the two together, okay, for obvious reasons, to avoid any conflict of interest, okay? So now that I'm retired, I'm trying to figure out which platform is going to be better for me. I don't necessarily say it's all Substack, because me being a systemic team coach, I can also coach individuals and the team. Okay. So I'm not going to limit myself, business to business as well as individuals. That's the reason why I set myself up that way. So I'm not boxed in. Okay.
I like it. And the one thing that's very important is also being aware that things and platforms and the digital world is changing all the time. I've been on Substack for a bit over 2.5 years now, and I've seen huge changes. There's more social media, there's more videos. But one big change that I see is that it was easier before to grow organically from within. And I can see this from my own numbers. I used to grow much more through recommendations alone, which are now like over 70% of my subscribers come through recommendations. But as the platform grows, it's harder to get more subscribers through recommendation because there are more people recommending more people. And so, yes, the pie is getting bigger, but we're also many more people. And so I do think it's smart to look at what are other channels that you can have out there that you can leverage to bring people into Substack, because I do think that is going to get harder and harder to grow organically. So it's a question that I ask myself as well.
I can see the handwriting on the wall. That's why I felt that my numbers was going down, which they were. And so I'm like, okay, I have to diversify, because I'm down here, then YouTube is up. Okay. So I'm like, cool. And then I go over here. Okay. IG and Threads and Facebook is up. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to continue to do this until I figure out, okay, what I'm supposed to put on the Facebook reel, what I'm supposed to put on this, what I'm supposed to put on there. And as I figure it out, then I can start, using Buffer. I can use Buffer to put all of these things in, okay? And then you can also use it to analyze the data, okay? Data is king. Without data, you don't know what the hell you're doing. Flat out.
Absolutely. So one more topic that we wanted to talk about, and you just mentioned it, is we're doing all these different things. We have these different projects. We offer different products, services. We have community. And the topic of today is clarity. Sometimes it is that when you have all these projects and you have all these plans that you want to do, you can go into analysis paralysis. I have so many people, even cohort, people told me, I know that I want to do this, but I also want to do that and launch a community and have a paid service. And in the end, you have all these plans and you kind of stop and nothing happens. And I think part of finding clarity is being able to prioritize. And yes, you can do 10 things, but not at once. As a coach, as a strategy coach, I have over 70 clients, mostly founding members. And one thing that I find very interesting is that one of the first questions people ask me, especially when they're just starting, they might have 100 subscribers. How do I monetize my newsletter? And this is what I mean by prioritizing. I always try to zoom out and help people look at the big picture. And I always use the metaphor of a store in a shopping mall. You, the solopreneur, you are the store and you're in a shopping mall and you have a beautiful offer, you have a beautiful store, the mall is full, but no one is coming to your store. And so, yes, it's important to have a nice offer. It's important to have everything ready for when people come. But the first question is not, how do I sell? The first question is, how do I bring people to my store? And not once, not just today. How do I create this strategy that is sustainable to bring people to me? I think that is really the key. And very often I find that people get so blinded with the idea of paid subscribers that they forget the element of community. They forget how important it is to constantly being attracting people, because what naturally tends to happen is that you attract people the right way because they like your message, they like your strategy, they like your voice. Chances are when you launch your product, and it doesn't have to be a paid subscription, it can be a cohort, it can be a course, whatever that might be, those people are already there. Those people have already built that trust with you. And so for me, the conversation and the prioritization is, how are you building community? How are you creating that trust? And then the monetization is almost like the side of it, like the byproduct of it. But if you're starting and you're getting frustrated because you're not getting paid subscribers, I really encourage you to focus on community, building trust, and then from there the monetization will be able to go much faster. Also, a little detail that a lot of people don't realize when they're talking about paid subscriptions. In general, the paid subscription rate that I see out there from free to paid is around 2 to 3%. So if you run the numbers, it's quite low, right? It means that if you have 1,000 subscribers, you might only have 20 to 30 that are paid. And some people might say that this is actually a positive and optimistic number. So also think in terms of strategy more than just paid subscribers. Substack is your community. Yes, having paid subscription is great, but it's really the foundation of everything that you're going to build later. You don't need 1,000 subscribers to monetize your work. You can do a nice little cohort for 8 to 10 people, and it might be much more profitable than trying to chase paid subscribers with discount and things like that.
Yeah, you're right. And one of the things that I had did is I created this course, okay, that I can not even use now because it was a different audience. I was going to be talking to women in government. After I did that, somebody said, it's not going to sell, you know? So you have to look at all of these things before you start putting your time and effort into something that's not going to work. You have to do testing, you have to get feedback, and see what people really want.
Mm, absolutely. So this idea of asking for feedback, of prototyping, very often what I do is more from my work as a public speaker. I don't develop my entire presentation or workshop or keynote and go to the client, hey, would you like this topic on confident communication, for example? I do an outline first. Hey, I have this session. I don't yet, but I will if you want it. I have an outline. I prepare. Is there interest? Do I have enough queries on that? You can do the same. And I do the same with my community. One of my current topics is public speaking. I've been asking a lot of people, would you like to speak in public? Would you like to start doing lives? Would you like to host webinars in your community and monetize them? And because the feedback was positive, I was like, okay, I'm going to create a course on public speaking, but public speaking specifically for creators who want to use the power of speaking to boost their business and take it to the next level. So yes, you can prototype, you can ask feedback, and don't just create in the blind, but really ask people what is going to help you. And then you can take it from there.
One of the things also I want to talk about, once we develop these products, we also have to go back in and make changes, because since I'm not sure, like of one of your courses, for example, Substack may have changed some things. You might have to go back and make those corrections and add that in, and whatever feedback you got from people, to keep, that's how you do that. 2.0, 3.0, that's another
Yes,
thing we have to take in consideration.
yes, the evolution, of course, everything that we're doing. For example, this year in June or July, I launched a course called How to Win on Substack, and it was really based on what's happening on the platform today. January 1st, I'm going to review everything and say, okay, this is an update. This can go. This is more relevant now. So I think always keeping your eyes. We mentioned before how important it is to pivot and to course correct. And to wrap up the session, there's one point that is really important, and we've talked about it in a softer way about building community and so on. As a solopreneur, we're talking about strategies and finding clarity. How important it is to surround yourself with the right people and let the haters go. I think finding your crew, finding who you can collaborate with. Like I am collaborating with Mark. A couple of days ago, I collaborated with Derek Hooks, the irresistible writer. Tomorrow, I'm publishing a post for Magdalena Ponurska from my community, trying to really find those people who have similar values, who are really on the same direction, and so that you can really push each other up and lift each other up. I think that's so important. Margaret, you're doing a wonderful job at it, especially with your life.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Veronica. When I first got to Substack, you, I don't know how, but you and I connected, and we've been connected ever since. And so for me, there was no question that I was going to become a founding member of your group, because we are like-minded individuals. You're everything that I aspire to be. And so I would definitely, find a way to keep that founding membership because of the relationship we have developed. Okay, it's not a lot of people have products to sell, but it's the relationship that you build with people that it keeps the glue that keeps that relationship together. And I want to thank you for your friendship and for your mentorship. I really
Thank you.
do.
And I think this is really both ways. And one of the questions that I get asked a lot in my communities, but how do I collaborate? How do I find partnerships? And it's an interesting question because sometimes we forget that the digital world is just like real life. How do you collaborate with someone that you haven't met? Sometimes I receive these messages from people that I've never met, are not part of my community. Hey, Veronica, do you want, can I write a guest post for my community for the Lemon Tree Mindset? Well, if we haven't built a relationship, or if you're a stranger asking me for a coffee, chances are I'm probably going to say no. However, the flip side, if you start to be visible in someone's community, like I just see, for example, Cynthia Lozada, she just joined. She's one of my members, both in the and the Spanish community. So people like Cynthia is like, oh, I recognize who she is. So when she sends me a message, it's not a stranger; it's someone who is already part of the community, someone who is already engaging with you. There is trust, and so start with trust. Start with really that abundance mindset. And one final tip on how to create partnerships, these collaborations like we are doing today, is always think on win-win. So often I see people, oh, I want to be a guest post. I want to be invited. I'm open to collaborations. What are you bringing to the table? What are you going to give? Because one thing that is for sure, and it's not only about being a creator, the more you give, the more you're going to receive. And so if you go with this abundance mindset of, hey, I have a small community, but this is what I can bring to you. I'm a public speaker. I see that you don't talk about this topic in your community. Would you be interested in having a webinar where I tell your community, your members, how to become a better speaker. And so make it interesting for them. It's about the other person and not only about you. And I think sometimes we forget about that. So today we're talking about clarity. We're talking about strategies for solopreneur. I do believe that collaboration is a huge piece of that. And it really starts with this abundance mindset of what's in it for the other person.
I'm all about that, paying it forward. Okay. When I come to you, I probably already had paid for the subscription. Okay. That's showing you that I am seriously invested in you. So you will be much more uh, willing to help me. That's why I had so many subscriptions at the beginning, because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And I knew that, okay, if I put myself in these positions with these powerful people, then they know that I'm serious. I come with my A game, okay? Or don't come at all. So when people come into my DMs and it's like they want to talk, you're not even a subscriber. Baby, you got to go. Okay, don't waste my time. I'm serious, because I'm here doing something positive, and I don't have much time left in this world, and I want to utilize it doing something positive, not taking me away from what I'm doing. Okay? So we have to have boundaries. Otherwise, we have chaos. Okay?
Absolutely. So, Margaret, if you're okay, we can do a bit of a wrap up of the session to make sure that everyone is on top. Or is there something else that you wanted to add?
Yeah, I did want to ask you about the affiliate program, okay? Because I think it's important for people to understand, as we talked about, you have this pie chart, okay? We can't put all of our eggs in one basket. The subscriptions is only a small piece. That's why you also do public speaking, you do all these other things. So if you could talk about that to give people some
Sure.
insight, that'd be great.
A bit on this idea that you don't need to obsess over paid subscription. And in fact, many successful solopreneurs, they use all their content as free content to attract people to their community. And then from there, you can have courses like I mentioned that I have. You can have digital products. You can have sponsorships if that's a model that you want to pursue. One that has worked very well for me, the affiliate program. And affiliate is really like a sales agent, basically someone who is going to promote your product or your service or your course, whatever that might be, and they get a commission. Now, the key for successful affiliate programs is that it has to be authentic. And so what I do is, instead of opening it to everyone, like, hey, you want to sell my products, here is a commission, I make sure that it's only people that I trust and people that have already gone through my courses. So, for example, if you've taken my course about how to grow on Substack, you liked it, you completed it, you felt that it added value to you, then you can become my affiliate. And what that means is that every time you sell a course because you liked it and you genuinely believe that it can help people in your community, you get a 40% commission. So that works extremely well both ways. If you're already a creator who has products and you want to be able to sell more, then it's a beautiful way to engage your community and turn them into sales ambassadors. On the flip side, maybe you're a new creator, you don't really have a digital library yet, but you want to boost your earnings. And so you can look at courses, products that you find interesting, take them yourself. And if there is something really that you liked, reach out to the creator. If you're taking your course today, if you're one of my students, reach out to me. Hey, Veronica, I really like your course. Can I become your affiliate? This is why I liked it. Why it will add value to my community. And that way, it's a win-win-win. The creator wins. The person, the affiliate also wins because you're able to boost your own earnings. But your community also wins because they are benefiting from a product that you genuinely believe is going to benefit them.
I love that. Thank you so much.
So, with this, I think we've covered a lot of strategies. Of course, we could go on and on, but we want to make sure that we keep everything with that within a framework. So, we talked about values, and we encourage you to think about the values that really matter to you and to use them to really craft your solopreneur work and not the other way around. So, really, a lifestyle first business. Then we talked about purpose. And if you're not a niche person like I'm not, how you can really focus on your purpose, who you want to help. That question is critical. Then we talked about the value proposition. Define in one sentence what you do, what impact you want to make. And we also talked about the importance of prioritizing. Yes, we all want to do a million things, but what is the one thing that is more important right now? Probably is about building your community. Probably is about attracting people to you and making sure that you create this trust before you sell anything. And the last piece is really about surrounding yourself with the right people, finding your tribe. In my case, it's about the lemon mindset. Margaret is about the empowered leader. So we hope that this gives you good ideas, strategies that you can take, you can customize, you can apply straight away. And this is it from me. So Margaret, any final words?
I think you've done all that, okay? And I'm happy for that. And I want to thank everybody that joined today. And as soon as this has uploaded, it will be sent out for everyone. Thank you so much, Veronica. And I am so honored to walk this journey with you.
Thank you, Margaret, and thank you, everyone. Ciao.
Ciao.